Welcome back to Extraordinary Drummer. As you know, I'm your host, Cheron Moore. Today, I tell you, today I've been privileged. Today is an honor. I have a dear friend with us today who, I want to say, if you think Elvis is king, try mentioning this guy's name in the drumming community. Try mentioning his name in a recording studio. I guarantee you the velvet ropes are going to just move out the way. You help me say hello to my dear friend, Mr. Dennis Chambers. Hey, Dennis.
Hey, man, how you doing?
How you like that big build up, huh?
That was overdone there, but
Ever had anybody call you the size of Elvis?
no, never.
Well, welcome to the Extraordinary Drummer Show. Glad you're on.
You.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm just waiting to get back to work. Just like us all musicians, we're trying to find other things to do. I'm doing some recording on the, while I'm here. So at least I'm doing that. But as far as live performances, it's a real drag. I was talking to Lenny White yesterday, and we were discussing, what is to come when this is all over. Especially with the government controlling things, because our government is acting really weird. When it comes to opening things up, or with this epidemic that we have. Anybody and everybody's that dealing with the music business at one point was just shut down. Even the music stores weren't even open. So if you broke a drum head, oh well, but the future, of this, what I just trying to think about what's going to happen, because now everybody knows that you can do things from at home. I was watching a video with John McLaughlin, Cindy Blackman, Carlos Santana, and I forgot who the bass player was. John's bass player, John McLaughlin's bass player. And they all played live, but they were all playing remotely from their homes. And man, if it's going to come to that, I have to retire, because I like the energy of the room. It's a different thing when you're playing, like in a studio. You play some things, but live is a whole nother thing. I mean, because you got faces out there, and you're exciting them. You give them energy to give you energy back.
Let me move on to some of the drumming stuff. What about your chops in this? Now, I'm asking Dennis Chambers. If Dennis Chambers loses his chop, he's probably going to be equal to like great. Not like amazing and fantastic. He'll just move to great. I got to keep that one. Well, I'm retired now, but I would love to have your level of I lost my chops. I know a lot of guys are laughing on that one. But
the thing about me is like I gave up on practicing a long time ago. I think I was with P-Funk when I stopped practicing. But one thing I learned from Buddy Rich and Billy Cobham is we don't worry about rebound from the drum head for speed. And we work everything from fingers to your muscles. Meaning that, if you strengthen your fingers and your wrists and build up the muscle strength to do things, you don't have to practice on speed. People say when they see me play, they're trying to figure out how to zip around the drums that fast and all that bull crap. But for me, it was like, when I'm doing it, it feels like it's just a normal thing, and it don't take nothing out of me to do that.
Yeah! Say yeah! Say hell yeah! Whoa! Let me hear y'all say yeah! Yeah! in the beat. Yeah. The boy was in the beat. But not just sleep, she was totally virgin in the ring. The boy was in the beat. Yeah. Boy was in the beat. Yeah. Ooh. Not just sleep, she was totally virgin in the ring.
Dennis, let me take you all the way back. When did you know that you wanted to become a drummer?
I guess it was right from the beginning. I started playing drums at the age of 4. And I remember my mom used to, my mom's band used to rehearse at my mother's apartment, or my family's apartment. And they also used to practice in the backyard of my grandmother's house. And that was the only thing that would keep me still, just watching the drummer play. And I still remember the drum kit. It was a Gretsch kit, a Champagne Sparkle, a 5-piece kit, and with shiny cymbals. So I guess the shiny cymbals attracted me to wanting to play, I guess. But the whole idea, when I started, the whole idea is like I like to hit things. And what a great instrument to play to hit things, So my mom or my dad bought me a drum kit when I was 5. Oh no, I'm sorry. They brought the kit when I was going on 4, I think it was. And I used to practice. I could not, man. I was every day. I was hearing all these things, and I couldn't wait to get home, from school, just to work some of this stuff out.
I read somewhere where you started playing in nightclubs at age 6.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. See, but that was, like I was little Audrey's sons. My mom was like a local celebrity because she sang with Motown for a short amount of time. And again, it's like, I was mesmerized when she came home and put a band together, and I'm looking at all these guys, in the band, and their work. I mean, they're playing and they sounded great. And I mean, I was paralyzed. I would just stand there, just paralyzed. And then I sit down and just watch everybody play, and then all of a sudden my eyes went to the drums, and boy, it's like, man, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
So I still run across some people, back during those times, especially the women, and they used to tease me because I used to bang on the pots, pans, trash cans, anything that had a sound to it, But they didn't, they didn't mind me making all that noise because it sounded good to them. It was amazing. But, I knew right from the beginning, as soon as I saw that drummer play, I wanted to be a musician. And also, like back then, at the age of 6, playing in those nightclubs, back then they used to have police patrol, but they were on horseback. And so Mr. Baker, his name was, he would pay off the cops not to come to the club at a certain day or a certain time if I was playing. And he explained to them, what was happening. So they, sure enough, they got their money and they never came in. But also that same place is, it was called the Peyton Place. And that's where I saw Miles Davis and Tony Williams.
Wow.
And it was doing I think the Miles Smiles record that just came out. And man, I was like, I didn't understand any of it. But the only thing I remember, sitting there and I'm thinking like, man, I got to figure this out. I have to figure this out. Because the way Tony played, his left pedal or hi-hat pedal and the right pedal is in 2 different zip codes. And like he's got 4 beats to the bar on the hi-hat and the top half of them, it was just really amazing. I couldn't sleep for 48 hours.
What were you doing in high school? Was drums part of it, part of the scene in high school for you?
In junior high school, I think I played in the orchestra band or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I did, play in marching bands and school bands. And we also had a program here back in 77, I think it was, where you would get paid to play your instrument.
Wow, sweet.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, not weird, but it was great, So you would get a check every week. And it wasn't much, but it was just the idea you were getting paid to practice. And then after a certain time, doing those hours, the music teacher would come to the back and get us all out of these little practice rooms. And then, like put some music up, and at the end of that, at the end of that working year with that, they would have a surprise artist come down. So I would see the Heath Brothers. I got a chance to play with the Heath Brothers. I got a chance to play with Blue Mitchell.
I read going back in 1981, you joined Sugar Hill Gang Records, and people kind of think that that's you playing on Rappers Delight for some reason. But what was going on in that time period, and how old were you back then?
Well, first of all, I did not play on Rappers Delight.
I know. I was just reading that. A lot of people think that.
And many times I've been saying this, like, I get that question all the time. But I did play with Sugar Hill, and I did do some recording with them on Grandmaster Flash and the Funky Four or something like that, and the Sequence Gang, and then there was Sugar Hill themselves. But those sessions, I remember, man, it was like we just laughed, basically. We laughed at the whole thing.
What is your approach to the drums when you sitting down, Dennis? I guess I'll ask that question. What is it going through your mind that makes all of that stuff happen? You play across the bar straight, but you're throwing in so many E-annas and ifs and ands and stuff. What is that, and what are you thinking? And where's it come from?
Well, sometimes, it comes from a lot of things. Sometimes when I'm playing, I can hear, I should say. I can hear other styles that when I'm playing, I'm not really playing the norm, straight up 2 and 4. But if I have to, that's what I would do. I mean, like with P-Funk, that's what I had to do. But, playing with the fusion bands, like, McLaughlin and Stern, when they get to the solos or anything like that, sometimes I hear melodies of Coltrane. I hear melodies of Alan Holdsworth. Definitely melodies or the song of like Mahavishnu, So I'm thinking and hearing that, and sometimes I'll throw it in, and that's what throw the other musicians off sometimes because, whatever I throw in there, it works when it shouldn't work. But I found a way like how to make it work, and being on the other side of the beat too.
Now explain that. What is that? I've got an idea, but explain that for the younger guys. What does that mean on the other side of the beat?
Well, if the snare drum's on 2 and 4, then you put the snare drum on 1 and 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Or sometimes it comes where I'll move a 16th of a beat over. Or maybe 19 beats over. It all depends. But if I'm playing in like 19 or 21s or any time signature other than 4/4, other musicians are not used to hearing that, especially when it comes to solos. remember it was a bass player I'm not going to name, but he's trying to play through the solo, or keep the groove going. And next thing I know, I'm looking at him and he's stomping his feet, like he's got his feet up real high, or his knee up real high, as he's slamming it to the floor, trying to make sure he stays where he's supposed to be. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there all calmly and just looking at him, laughing my butt off, But I wanted to, sometimes I'll test the musicians just to see how far can they go, not to wreck the thing or derail the music. It's just I wanted to see how far can they go, or if they can hold the beat through all this madness that's going on over there. And I remember some bass players or other musicians, they said, a lot of times they would lose it because they look at me. They look at me and they hear what's going on, but when I'm off into that other world, I'm sitting there, you can see my head move, where the downbeat of 21 is, or the downbeat of 19, or the, whatever, or the downbeat of 16. And yet they're sitting there, they got a problem playing 4/4 against that, which I don't have a problem doing it. But, the most important thing to playing music is again, I would say is what you hear and how you interpret it. And and then also when you learn the music, whatever caught your ear to the drummer that's playing on those records, once you learn what that is, then you try to make it your own. You're looking at a guy who, by me starting so early, I have an edge on a lot of folks because some guys don't start until they're teenagers, or if they're grown men, then that's when they start. But with me being at home at a very young age at my mom's house, man, I had no worries, no cares, no nothing. All I had to do was just sit and practice.
Yeah, man. Talk a little bit about endorsements. What companies are you with, and what drums are you playing, and so forth?
I play Zildjian cymbals and sticks. I play Pearl drums, and I also have an endorsement with the Case Company. I don't know if I should mention that, but yeah, I have an endorsement with the Case Company. So drums is like Pearl drums, and hardware is Pearl. Every now and then I may use another snare drum because I like it, but since I came out with my second line, or since they came out with the second line of my drum, it's all metal. It's 5 by 6.5. I'm sorry, 5 by 14. Now wait a minute. It's a 5-inch, 5 by 14. That's what it is. And since that thing came out, I've been using that, exclusively.
Interesting. What do you think of today's drummers? Drumming is way faster now.
Drummers today, not all of them, but drummers today, they're more worried about speed and power, mainly speed. And I watch a few guys, when I go to some of the concerts, and they zip around the drums. They're practically soloing behind the artist. And the artists don't, sometimes the artists don't like it, and sometimes they do like it if they approach it the right way. I'm 61 years old, and my phone haven't stopped ringing. And I knock on some wood when I say that. But these guys who think they're so great, I'm so great, I'm so fantastic, and they kiss their hands, their phones are not ringing.
Kiss the ring, Dennis.
Yeah. But they're not. They don't get it. Music is not about speed and power. That's just the icing on the cake. When you play. But I've seen a lot of drummers, get fired right before they even start touring, they got fired because they didn't make the rehearsal. You know, so, and I'm telling them, you know, like Buddy Rich was fast, Billy Cobham was fast or is fast. Um, I got some things with me, but I'm telling them like, okay, well, I'm Dennis Chambers, and I'm trying to tell you that, you know, you have to learn how to play music. You know, Billy Cobham, Buddy Rich, and anybody who has speed chops that came out of the '70s, they learned how to play the music. You know, and then, you know, if you're supposed to solo, then that's when you know, display your, you know, your chops. You know.
Would you leave a word of advice for the up and coming drummers that's trying to
Be
get traction in this thing, man? What do they need to be thinking about? Would you leave them
They need,
a word of advice?
they need to think about like just trying to be honest as possible to themselves, to know that what you know what you can do and work on the things that you can't do. So it's just being honest.
Before I let you go, I want to touch on the climate of today. Black Lives Matter. What are your thoughts of what's going on out there, Dennis?
Ah, man, that's crazy. I mean, because you know, I'm discovering all these videos thanks to phones that have cameras on them. And if you go to YouTube and just look at like cops murdering blacks, beating up blacks, yeah, it's a whole gang of stuff there. But however, it's like all lives do matter. It's a lot to be said for that. But the only thing I can say with that is thank God for the youth, because they're trying to, you know, bring all this all this stuff to the front that happened to people in the past. And that's it.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, one of the subjects that I wanted to ask you about in closing was, I don't know, so many years ago or months ago, you had become very ill. They had so many rumors out and so much stuff. Can you take us back and first tell us how was your health? How were you doing? And what had happened so we can clear the record and people can know that you're okay?
Okay, I used to suffer from acid reflux. I had a bad case of it. And when they fixed the acid reflux problem, me walking around, I was walking around like a walking time bomb, which meant that, you know, things were, you know, what happened later, it should have, you know, happened earlier. And it was like the acid was eating up my esophagus line. And when Mike Stern was the one that got the key, came in my room and found me laying on the floor in my own blood, and my skin was changing gray. I was dying. Um, he took me to a hospital right away, and I was in a coma for like 4 days or something. And when I finally came to, the doctors told me what had happened, and there was other things they couldn't explain because I'm in Spain, and there was a lot of people that don't speak English, especially the town I was in. So they had one
person on the staff that spoke English. And, she did the best she could do. She could have done just explaining what the doctor had said to me. But then after, getting back to the States, and Simon Phillips was the one that helped me and my wife to get back here. And I get back and I'm weak. I had to postpone a lot of stuff because of the thing this thing I just went through. And seeing my doctor, he had to go through my whole esophagus line and repair the holes. But it was funny, man. It's like coming up out of a coma. And a few days after that, my wife had my computer. She brought it to me where I could check my email. And the email was like, it was endless. People were sending, praise and stuff for me to live. But then all of a sudden I see like things where people had wrote me off, saying that I died. And the funny thing was I was looking at Wikipedia and it said Dennis Chambers, born May 9th, 1959, died such and such and such and such. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I started feeling like the guy who's in Austin Powers, where they sit up, at this long table and Mr. whatever his name is, the bald guy, he's making decisions and the decisions are not made correctly. And then, if he didn't like a certain answer from one of the guys, he'd hit a button and those guys, the chair would like disappear or flip back and they throw the guy in what was downstairs. And then you hear like from a distance, he's been torched. And then all of a sudden you hear the guy goes, I'm not dead yet. It's just a little toasty. I felt like that guy because I'm like, man, I'm not dead yet. I'm laying here in the hospital. What's going on with the world? Like why are they telling they're telling my wife? My wife got on the plane. She didn't know whether she was picking up a live or a dead body. Because before she got on the plane, they were reporting that I had died. And she didn't know what to believe. So. But then you learn who your friends are too. Because the ones who spread the rumors, they were certain friends. Somewhat friends of mine. And they know how to contact me if they need something from me. But they didn't like call me to find out, if it was true, if I was dead or alive. And they went along with the rumors. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. It's crazy. I heard that it was like they had one jazz festival that's in Washington, D.C. I think it's called Washington Jazz Festival or something. And I heard somebody got on the microphone, the promoter got on the microphone. He stopped the show and got on the microphone and he told the audience, like, Dennis Chambers died. We just got word of that. And, can we have like 50, like 5 minutes? No, not 5 minutes. Certain amount of time of silence, he said. And when I came home, I learned that from my neighbor, because my neighbor was shocked when he saw me walking around, and he was at that jazz festival. He sees me walking around, and he's like, man, you're not dead. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, how about that? It was just weird, man.
Dennis, let me say thank you so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it. Who would have told me so many years later I'll get to interview you on my show, The Extraordinary Drummer Show?
Well, thank you for having me, man. Really, thank you for having me.
So you're going to tell us the secret of how we're going to learn to play like you or what?
Well, it's no secret. It's just a lot of practice, as you know. But also, I don't, I said this before. I don't sit there and practice on the things I do know. I practice on the things I don't know. That's if and when I do practice.
I love that. The things I don't know. Things I don't. That's awesome. Can you help us wave goodbye to everybody, man? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you again here at the Extraordinary Drummer Show. Bye.
Thank you very much, man. Right,
Thank you, Dennis. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Endorsements.
Thank you very much.